Hello and welcome back to the channel. Have a little bit of a different video to do today. Just really an update on the CJ5 project. Finally got back to that. Had a buddy of mine who's doing my body work and built the tub come over, and with another friend we got the windshield mounted on. Had to drill all the holes in the cowl. That was a little bit of a project because my original hinges were actually original OEM hinges, and one of them actually turned, we fussed with it for probably about 2 hours trying to line it up right, and it turned out that one of the hinges had a bend, had a little bit of a bend to it. It was actually right in this area here where it was just bent up just very slightly, and that was throwing the positioning of the hinge off, and then trying to position the windshield, throwing it off significantly. So we got the windshield mounted on, and he started going over the body, straightening out the grill, making some marks with some tape on some things that he needs to address, areas that need to be shaved so that things fit better, so that when it goes down to him for paint, he knows what he needs to do. But the windshield is installed, fits good. It's amazing how solid it is. The other thing that we got done finally is I got the rear wiring harness, the rear half of the wiring harness installed on the CJ. Now the rear harness, go up to the front here. This is going to be going back a while from when I installed the front part of the harness. Attaches right into the painless wiring harness right here. What I did was, the original path, the factory path, has it run down, and then it runs along the channel of this, basically under this edge, all the way back to the back corner, where you then have a hole drilled that allows you to drop down into the wheel well. Now, none of that hole was not there. I had to put that in. And then the other issue I ran into, which was an oversight on my part, was the factory CJs had clips, metal clips, I guess tack welded into this channel to secure the wiring harness. I did not do that, totally overlooked it. So then I was in a scenario of what I'm going to do, how am I going to fasten it, how am I going to secure it, and what I came up with is I actually ended up using double-sided tape, 3M double-sided tape. Cut them into, I had 1 inch wide tape, cut it into half, so it was about a 1/2 inch wide, made strips about 2 to 3 inches long, and about every 6 inches or so, I have a piece of tape onto the wire loom, and then put a, let me see if I can get the light on it, then I put a zip tie in the middle of it, and this is not going to be easy to get the camera there. You can see that there, and ended up doing a zip tie in it, and then basically pushed it up into place. And amazingly, it is actually very secure. Once you pressure activate that 3M tape and push it up in there, it grabs hold real nice, and secured the whole loom all the way up to the front. Only modification I had to do was right down here where this upright support is. I had to just notch the area here so I could lay this in here nice, and then just brought it up, secured it into place, and then attached it into the main harness. Now, there is a grommet that comes on the rear harness. Unfortunately, I had already drilled the hole, and I drilled my hole to 1 3/8 inches, which was just a little different from the size hole. Let me see if I can get the light in there again. There we go. That they had. But I had a grommet that fit right in there. Use that to secure it in place and to help try and seal it up a little bit. And then brought our wires down. Get this in place now. And then you come down into the underside of the vehicle and then ran the passenger side up over top of the fuel tank over to the passenger side and secured it. And then obviously the driver's side is secured here. There is a trailer wiring harness for brake lights and turn signals for a small trailer. That part I just zip tied and secured up behind the baffle here. Don't plan on doing any towing, but obviously going to keep that just in case we do. But then we now have our marker light, and see here, here's the tail light on both sides. We have it both on the driver's side and the passenger side, obviously. I had my marker lights for the rear, so I drilled the holes and mounted those on both sides. And they are secure and ready to go. That actually worked out very well. Ended up using a hole saw to put the hole for where the light bulb plug is in, and then leveled these off, got them straight, marked where the mounting holes would go, and then drilled those and secured them into place. I have the tail light holes marked. I just marked lightly in pencil, but I don't have my tail lights yet. The tail lights won't be here till later today. So once I get those, I can then verify my mounting locations and how everything is going to sit. Obviously, I want to verify all that before I do any drilling. Boy, on this side, they're real light. Yeah, you can see the hole there and then the mounting holes right up in here. So I just figured I'd give a little update. Not a working video, but just finally some progress. I'll come back and get some video in once we get the tail lights mounted and secure, and then that pretty much will complete the rear part of the harness. Now, just a little thing I want to add. If you are doing a wiring harness, now I have an EFI system, if anyone recalls. So my fuel pump, my fuel sending unit, if you see that pink wire that's taped on there, that would actually go to the fuel sending unit if you had the factory sending unit in there. Mine, because I'm using the Holley Sniper EFI in-tank fuel pump, electric fuel pump, it has a sending unit built into it, so all that wiring has already been brought up front with my fuel line when I installed all that on the chassis before I even put the body on. And then when I did the first part of the harness, I actually went into this plug, removed that wire, you can see it right in here, and hooked it up to this yellow wire, which was coming from my sending unit in the rear. So mine is hooked up that way, but obviously if you had a factory, if yours was set up like factory, you got pink wire would still be going into this plug, would be tying into this rear harness, and then you'd have to secure it once you have the wiring harness in place in the rear of the vehicle. All right, so as soon as I get those tail lights and get them installed, I'll come back on, show those, and then that will wrap up the installation of the rear wiring harness for our painless wiring system. Okay, finally got my tail lights, finally got the opportunity to install those. There's the driver's side, and this is what I ended up doing here. Passenger side, I took it off so I could show you. Basically, I used a hole saw bit to drill this hole, and then I ovaled it out with a burr bit, just big enough so that I could get the connector through. Then these were drilled, and then I used hex head self-tappers to fasten the tail light in place. You know, both sides are nice and even. I'm going to go ahead and put it back on. And there you are. So both tail lights are mounted. License plate holders in place. Now I did go with the later model tail lights. I believe they're 81 to 87 for CJ5, CJ7s. Or excuse me, what is it? Or is it 81 to 86? As opposed to the earlier models that did not have a marker light on the side. I'm gonna obviously have the marker lights here, so it's a little redundant, but I'd rather, you know, have some good marking, good lighting for at night, just to make sure that we're seeing here. In the front, I put the marker lights on the grille, going with clear ones with amber bulbs. Still have to get the headlights, but pretty much I just wanted to get that stuff mounted and get the holes drilled for these. So this way, because our next step really is going to be to strip this thing down, send it in, and get paint done. Hoping to get this in for paint either the end of this month or early part of November or sometime in November. So keep you posted, keep a lookout. We'll definitely have a video on that when that's done. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoy what we're doing here. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to leave them below. Thank you very much and have a great day.